Polk High, number 33. If you understand the reference, great. If you don't, well, it has to do with the old TV show Married with Children. The star, played by Ed O'Neill, played a character called Al Bundy, married to Peg, had two kids, Kelly and Bud. He used to harken back to his high school days when he went to Polk High and he scored 4 touchdowns in a single game. Well, if you know, you know. It was a fantastic show. You can never do that show today. But the purpose of my video is to touch on a few things. Um, we are now beyond week 3 of the partial government shutdown. And as of Saturday afternoon, they they say that they're going to have a vote on Monday to clear the logjam. Well, a lot of people call this the Schumer shutdown, which is obviously the case. Chuck Schumer is the most powerful man in the United States Senate right now. He could end this with one phone call. Right now, you have the Republicans have a majority in the Senate and a majority in the House. And of course, there's a Republican president. But that's kind of academic right now. The simple truth is that you need 60 votes to clear the logjam in the Senate. And I think they have 53 or 54 that are Republicans. I think it's 53, but they need 60 to clear it. And the Democrats right now are holding up. They're voting against this, including my senators, Kane and Warner, who represent, and I use that term loosely, the Commonwealth of Virginia. What's funny is there are a whole lot of federal government workers in Virginia, including my beloved wife, who are on furlough right now. Is this a kind of a way of turning the Virginia governor's race so that the Democrats will win by getting those angry federal workers out there in Northern Virginia to go and vote Democrat to punish the Republicans so that they can get Spamberger in the governor's mansion? I don't know. That might be a benefit. But anyway, Chuck Schumer is an old school Democrat. He's left, but he's not wacko far left. But he's very powerful. He is invincible against any Republican. No Republican is in danger of, or I should say, no Republican is going to be able to unseat Chuck Schumer in a general election in New York State. He and Kristen Gillibrand are the senators up there. But what keeps him up at night is the threat from his left, from somebody like Hakeem Jeffries, AOC, or even Zorhan Mamdani, who's the Islamic or Islamist communist about to be elected mayor of New York City. Those people all come from his left, and they represent a very sizable and growing, I don't want to call it a majority, but a sizable plurality within the Democrat Party. These are neo-Marxist, hard left. They advocate socialism on a national level. They want free health care, open borders, gender confusion in your kids, and who knows what else. They oppose school choice. They hate the Second Amendment. They love high taxes. They love bigger government. And they are really seem to be picking up steam among younger generations. So if AOC, who is going to be old enough to run for president in 2028, although I doubt she will, but she is from New York City. So is Hakeem Jeffries. So is Zorhan Mamdani. Any one of those could decide to primary Chuck Schumer in a Democrat primary, and he's quite vulnerable. Any one of those three would stand a fair chance of defeating him. Remember, it is New York State, but they're all from the New York City metro area, one part or another. And that has Chuck Schumer really worried. So he's holding out for $1.5 trillion that he believes, or even if he doesn't believe it, his party believes that they want that money for illegal aliens and other non-citizens in the United States to be able to receive free health care. Now, I hear the naysayers saying, well, illegal aliens don't get federal welfare benefits. That's illegal. Well, yes and no. Yes, they cannot get a direct federal benefit or subsidy, but they get it through their states. The states then get reimbursed by the federal government. It's a very twisted form of money laundering, and they don't want to get that constituency angry at them. Um, some Democrats even have come out and said that they view illegal aliens as their constituents, even though they're not. But another thing that keeps Chuck Schumer awake is that if the shutdown goes on beyond a week from today, um, I believe that's November 1st, there are SNAP benefits, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, I believe they call it, SNAP benefits. That's not just for illegals. There's a lot of citizens getting that. A lot of those citizens getting SNAP benefits, it's a form of welfare, it's a transfer payment. Um, a lot of these people live in deep blue Democrat cities. And when those SNAP debit cards or EBTs or whatever they call it, when they stop working, you're going to have some civil unrest on your hands. You're going to have people who have been dependent on the government for years and years and years. Many of them don't work, some of them do work, but they're used to getting that benefit. And when those cards stop working, and a lot of these people have multiple children, you're going to have some problems on your hands in these big blue cities. Now, what happens when the uh, the the unrest starts? What happens when you start getting riots? That's going to give more incentive for Donald Trump to be motivated to send in the National Guard in the cities. I'm not saying that's a good thing because I don't believe that's the purpose of the National Guard, but that's another argument for a different day. So now, here in Virginia, this doesn't make news everywhere else, but in Virginia, the state House of Delegates is controlled by Democrats. It's a slim majority. There are 100 seats, and I think it's like 52 to 48 or something like that. It's almost down the middle. We also have a state Senate, although the Senate is not up for election until 2027, but we have 40 members in our state Senate, and that's like 21 to 19, the Democrats' favorite. And right now we're electing a new House of Delegates, although every seat is technically up. A lot of them are unopposed or in safe districts. The balance of the House of Delegates is probably not going to change very much, but we're electing a governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. Um, Actually, that'll be a week from Tuesday, November 4th, I believe it is the election day. Now, I already voted. We have early voting here, but what they're trying to do, the Democrats, I believe his name is Don Scott, is the Speaker of the Virginia State House of Delegates. He is um, trying to call an emergency session of the House of Delegates in to redistrict for the 2026 elections. Now, there's no need to do that now. They should wait until after January when the new House of Delegates is seated. Um, but they're trying to do it. And the idea is that if they can get the state Senate also into session, what's the job of the lieutenant governor? They preside over the state Senate and they break ties. Our lieutenant governor, Winsome Sears, she is currently running for governor because the current governor cannot succeed himself in Virginia. You can only run one term. If you want to run again, you have to sit out a term. So Glenn Youngkin is on his way out as governor. She's trying to be governor, and Abigail Spanberger is the Democrat running against her. So what this will do, if they call it into session, she's constitutionally obligated as the lieutenant governor to preside over the Senate if they get called into session. Um, Monday, I believe, is when the Supreme Court in Virginia, I believe, is going to decide whether they can call them into session. There's no need to call them into emergency session for redistricting for 2026. The only elections we're going to have in 2026 is if there's a primary for any U.S. House seats or one of the Senate seats, which is John Warner, is up for election. I'm sorry, not John Warner, Mark Warner is up for election in 2026. So suppose you have two Republicans or three Republicans or four Republicans who want to run against him and he doesn't decide he's not going to run in, then you would have a primary in June. Okay. But redrawing the U.S. House districts doesn't need to be done early in 2026. The general election won't be until November. So it's like, what's the purpose of this? It's actually quite a clever and devious plan, but they're trying to pull Winsome Sears off the campaign trail so that she cannot campaign during the last week of the election, which is really a dirty thing to do. So if the court doesn't strike it down, an option she has is to resign as a lieutenant governor and just keep campaigning. But that could make her look bad too. But I think the Democrats are hoping that with the government shutdown and forcing her off the campaign trail for a week, it'll be enough to put Spanberger over the edge. Now, Spanberger had a huge lead about 2 or 3 months ago. She was way ahead in the polls. Now it's close. She's only ahead by, I think, 5 or 6 points. That's within shouting distance. And nobody thought Glenn Youngkin would win in 2021 against Democrat Terry McAuliffe. But he did. He pulled it out at the very end. And we actually had a straight Republican victory. We had a Republican governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general in 2021. And they all run in separate elections. So we could end up with a Democrat governor, a Republican lieutenant governor, and a Democrat attorney general, or any combination of the three, because they run in separate elections. They don't run in a ticket, and the attorney general is not appointed here. So we got some interesting times coming up. I don't know what's going to happen with this, but Chuck Schumer can make that phone call and say, "Hey, this is Senator Schumer. Go ahead, vote to open the government," or something like that, and they would, because he's the head honcho for the Democrats in the Senate. But he's trying to hold out because he doesn't want to get, if he gives in and they don't get the 1.5 trillion for the illegal aliens and their free health care, the hard left is going to come after him. But if he does not open the government back up and the SNAP benefits checks and debit cards stop working, there's going to be a lot of riots in blue cities. Is that going to affect the midterms next year? I don't know. I can't make that kind of prediction. But there's a lot of weird stuff going on behind the scenes right now. We live in some very bizarre times. Um, Living here in Virginia, it's like our state is being turned into California. Um, I think that Sears was not the actual best candidate they could have had, but um, she has some good ideas, but she's not. Truth is, she's not going to get much done with a Democrat majority in both chambers of the legislature. Um, my only, the only thing we can hope she can do is like Glenn Youngkin, veto the bad bills, because the Democrats are going to push a lot of bad bills. Their gun bills they were pushing, anti-gun bills, would have made Virginia worse than California, and it would have made felons out of 1 million Virginians, essentially banning weapons that people already own, and people who are law abiding, who are not criminals or anything. They're going after that, but they're not doing anything about violent criminals. Um, the You've all heard about the race with Jay Jones running against Jason Miyares, and Jay Jones wishing he could put 2 bullets in um, the speaker Gilbert, put 2 bullets in his head, and that his children were little fascists, and that they should die in their mother's arms to get him to change his views on gun control. Is like, come on. And then Jay Jones, he wants to take away guns away from peaceable citizens, but he doesn't want to do anything against violent criminals. And believe it or not, that turd still might win the race. He could still technically win. And our lieutenant governor is a gay male conservative Republican running against a woman who's an Islamist and a neo-Marxist who hates guns, hates law and order, and um, is not, her values don't reflect the Commonwealth of Virginia. And she refuses to debate John Reed, her opponent. He's offered her 10 different times to debate, and she won't do it. She's just hiding in the basement like Joe Biden did in 2020. So we got some interesting times we live in. But as far as the government shutdown is concerned, the people who are federal employees will get their back pay at the end of it. But I saw something on TV where there was a TSA worker in Atlanta at the airport, and he's like, "Hey, I'm not getting paid." They don't make a lot of money, so this guy doesn't like probably doesn't have a big savings account or anything, and he was mad at Trump for the shutdown. But he lives in Atlanta, which is in Georgia. Their two senators are Warlock. I mean, I'm sorry, Warnock. I keep wanting to call the guy Warlock. Don't know why, but Warnock and Ossoff are the two Democrat senators in Georgia, and both of them voted for the shutdown. We have Kane and Warner, Democrat senators in Virginia. They both voted for the shutdown. So these people running around saying this is the fault of the Republicans, nah, they're full of it. This is a Democrat shutdown. The Republicans don't have the votes to push it through. They've already voted, and if spending legislation does go through both chambers and it heads to the president and the president doesn't sign it, then it's the president's fault for shutting down the government. But it's the last person who doesn't sign on to it or whatever is where the logjam is, and that is Chuck Schumer. And you'll have people trying to explain their way around it or anything, but he's in the catbird seat. He's driving the bus. Maybe three wheels fell off and the brakes don't work, but he's still driving that bus. So if you really want the government to be open, stop hating on Trump. There's enough things to hate about Trump, believe me. But this is a Schumer shutdown, and you know that's where the rubber meets the road. So just just don't worry. They the politicians are going to do their thing, but this is on Schumer. So hope everybody has a good day, and I've talked long enough. So I'm going to wish you all a good afternoon wherever you are, and have a fantastic day.